that our next guests are our last for this year, unfortunately, which is a little bit sad, but we're optimistic because we're looking forward to next year in Las Vegas. So we're talking about some of the technological advances happening in Las Vegas and some of the ways that that city specifically continues to inform our processes as a Pro AV community. Joined by Scott Williams, Brandon Wood, and Brian Allen. Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Scott, we'll start with you. You're a familiar voice on Avixa TV. For those of you who may not know who Scott is, Scott helped the team over at the Vegas Golden Knights with the projection on the ice. So, Scott, we'll start with that, right?
Sure.
Talk about some of the ways that you're seeing specifically Las Vegas from a sporting standpoint leverage some of these technologies.
Sure. Well, the Las Vegas sports teams, they draw local folks, 18,000 people to each game who are immersed in technology in Las Vegas. They go to the shows, the Cirque shows, which have a lot of media, a lot of integrated technology from our world, and their expectation level is much higher than sports fans in other regions. So they really expect the bar to be raised, and the Las Vegas Golden Knights definitely do that every game. They have a very theatrical performance, very akin to what you would expect in Las Vegas, and we help them by creating content that is visually appealing and really outside of the box of what you normally get in sports.
And then Brandon, same question. What are you seeing and what are you working on with Dimensional Innovations there?
Yeah, so what we do is experiential work for sponsors and for sports teams, and so we did a lot of work in the Raiders stadium with their Al Davis Memorial Torch. So we actually fabricated and constructed that torch and the experience on top of it, and kind of everything that surrounds that moment. And so what we're trying to do is create an amazing experience for fans and for corporate experiences as well, so that when you go through this experience, you leave with a story and you leave with a moment, and hopefully you've had a great time at the same time.
Well, and Brian, wanted to loop you in here as well. One of the cool things about Las Vegas is that they use technology for a long time, right? Whether you look at a sign that's at the MGM, that thing lives out there for 10, 15 years in some cases. And from your perspective at the Illuminarium, which is an experience out there in Vegas, you have to have technology that wows people for a long time. How are some of those thoughts and long-term needs being met in the initial design process?
Yeah, so at Illuminarium, what we really tried to do was layer technology to bring as much reality to the space as possible, right? And I think by doing that, we had the idea of creating multi-sensory experiences. Las Vegas is not new to multi-sensory experiences, but we came at it from a new angle in that we could transport people in a digital space using scent, interactive, haptics, projection, LiDAR-powered game engine graphics. And that, for us, we were a newcomer to that space, but it really allowed us to kind of explore the different technology partners on the scene, but it also made everyone work together, because these products don't work together right off the bat, off the shelf, right? So I think what made us unique is really the connective tissue between the products that made everything work together.
And as new venues are coming into Las Vegas, and whether it's sporting or just experiential events, if you will, what are some of the trends that you're seeing, since that public expects a lot, right? So it's got to be really competitive. So what are some of those trends that you're starting to see there?
Yeah.
Well, first off, Las Vegas is the hot spot for everybody in our industry. We should all be excited about the opportunities there, because they're always trying to push the bar higher and higher and higher. And I recall, being the old man of the panel here, I recall flying into Vegas 4 decades ago, and all the media experiences were inside the hotels, right? They were the Cirque shows and a little bit of sports book. And now, and then it came outside onto the street, onto all the LED signage up and down the strip, and onto the LV experience downtown Las Vegas. And now, before you even hit the ground in an airplane, you can see the Resorts International video board, and it's crazy. It's come completely out, and so before you ever touch ground in Vegas, your media is saturating. So
I things that get us excited is Area 15 and Omega Mart and Meow Wolf there in Vegas, and then kind of seeing how they're interweaving storytelling into their experiences. So they're mixing that physical and digital, mashing it together, and then putting a storyline to it and giving you something to dig into and explore and try and discover. I mean, that and the MSG Sphere is incredible.
The Sphere is an interesting conversation. I'm going to pitch this one to you, Brandon. The Sphere is not something that any user had asked for, right? That they didn't say, I want a gigantic sphere inside Las Vegas with directional audio and full surround video and things like that. But there's this burden that we have as a technology community of proactively finding what our end users will like, right? You guys do that a ton with the Illuminarium. How important is that proactivity when it comes to end user experience, even for things that they don't even know that they want yet?
I think it's important, right? You're trying to figure out what that next kind of step is, what the audience wants. And what I've noticed, I think, is there was this swing towards all digital all the time, where you had these projection experiences, interactive experiences, and I'm beginning to see sort of a swing back to let's incorporate some of those tactile things. Yeah. Let's incorporate more humans into it, more actors, characters in the story, right? And I think that's really, really important because on the other side where it's a purely digital experience, it almost feels like there's something missing. And I like to see those experiences like Omega Mart, other experiences. One of my favorites in Vegas was an experience called Particle Inc., where it was a theater company that put this on, right? But intermixed with technology that's personalized, so it feels like something that you're participating in rather than something that's happening to you.
And a lot of the AV technology and these experiences, you know, you just go and you see them and they're just mind-blowing, right? You can't even imagine, like, what could possibly be next, right? So how do you see AV innovation and installations continuing to grow in this, you know, rapidly expanding Las Vegas market?
That's an excellent question. Everybody is trying to create that new power experience. And if I had a nickel for every time someone asked us to create a hologram, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be out on my own island. So those cutting edge technologies still drive what people want to achieve. I mean, LED volumes are everywhere and you can create them. And one of the things that Brian and I were talking about earlier is the technology has advanced so rapidly and the content is kind of lagging a little bit behind. And that's one area where we need to catch up. I completely agree with Brian on the storytelling and the hard set elements. We really should and have been taking a step back from full volumetric experiences to ones that include a better story, better content, and also the gaggery, as we call it, with holographic imagery.
Yeah, I think as long as, in Vegas, as long as it's a spectacle, you can kind of try anything at least once, and I think that's trying to meet people's amazing and crazy ideas with the technology that exists and see what you can pull off as what is possible there and what Vegas facilitates, because that's what that audience really wants to see.
I think as audience or experience goers today, we're expecting so much out of an experience. And I think if we're not looking at how do you personalize an experience to the audience member, to that guest, how do you have a dynamic experience? I think passive experiences have their own place, but in this world of location-based, I'm expecting to be a part of the story, right? So I think that looking ahead to those technical advancements in the space, so using things like real-time graphics, using game engines, how do you bring that audience member in? How do you get information before the audience member shows up about them to maybe incorporate into the story? I think that, that personalization aspect is going to be really important.
Well, and doing it in ways where it feels natural,
yeah.
where people don't, it's not obvious that you took their photo so that you can use it later. It's like integrating that into that experience so it's all part of the story and part of the journey that they're on maybe in that space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, look, we appreciate the three of you guys joining us today, talking about some of the great things happening in Vegas. Look, if you're watching, these folks are literally shaping the experiences that we have on a daily basis, especially for InfoComm next year. So it'll be incredible to see. Thank you guys so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.